Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohioan. So today we're going to be doing our Senate prediction for the 2022 midterms as of January 31st, 2022. I'm very excited for the midterms. I expect the Republican Party to do very well. If you look at the President Biden's approval rating, it's like mid-30s. Kamala's is like mid-20s. And in pretty much every poll, Republicans lead in the congressional ballot. And in every Senate race, Republicans are taking the lead in polls there. We have some good candidates running, and I'm very excited for the midterms. So with that, let's start filling in the safe states for the Democratic Party for the 2022 Senate elections. I do expect the Democrats to win the states of Oregon, California, Hawaii, Maryland, Connecticut, Vermont, and New York. I expect them to win in all those states by safe margins. These should all be pretty self-explanatory, except maybe Maryland. I know there's some rumors about Larry Hogan possibly running in the state of Maryland, but as he has not yet announced, I'm going to keep it a safe D. If Larry Hogan does run, I'd probably move it down to likely D, because we've seen plenty of polls out of that state that show the race getting closer if Larry Hogan runs. But as of now, I'm putting it as safe D. The safe Republican states include states of Idaho, Utah, the Dakotas, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Kentucky, Indiana, South Carolina, Alaska, and the great state of Florida. These should all be pretty self-explanatory. Blue Missouri is a cope. Red Iowa, because Chuck Grassley won by like 25 points in 2016, and in a Republican favorable year, there's zero reason Chuck Grassley should lose by like even close to 10. He should win by like 25, 30 points. He won by that much in 2016. It's going to be a Republican favorable year. And Iowa is also very much an R-trending state. Similar story with Florida. Marco Rubio in 2016 won by like 8 points. And Florida is a red trending state in a red favorable year. I see no reason Marco Rubio should win Florida by less than 10 points. So with that, we have the safe D and safe R states. We're going to start filling in the likely D states. And they include the states of Washington and Colorado. Excuse me, not Colorado. I did not mean to fill that in. The state of Illinois. These are two states that I really do not expect Republicans to win, but I think they're going to be just barely under 10. Washington, if you look at some of the polls, Patty Murray is struggling in a couple of recent polls, show that race possibly getting competitive. Similar story with Illinois. Tammy Duckworth only won by like 15 points in 2016. And Illinois, we've seen some good Republican trends in the state. She's not super popular, and although these are such safety states because of Seattle and Chicago, I do expect both these states to still go Democrat, just not by a safe margin, just by a little bit under 10. So with that, we're going to start filling in the likely states for the Republican Party. They include the states of Wisconsin, North Carolina, Ohio. And I believe that is it. Yes. These are three seats here that I expect the Republican Party to win very easily. If you look at the state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson running. All Wisconsin has done is trend Republican. Ron Johnson's a pretty solid senator. He's pretty popular in the state. He has appeal in both the suburban and rural parts of the state. And I see no reason Ron Johnson should lose by anything less than 5 points. His opponent is also a far left racist who hates white people. So that should help him in like a 90-plus white state, except for maybe the Milwaukee area. Instead of Ohio, my great home state, I do expect Republicans to win there. It just really depends on the margin. If it's literally anyone except Josh Mandel, if it's J.D. Vance, if it's Jane Timken, if it's Bernie Moreno, if it's literally anyone, Ohio will go Republican by like 9 points. If it's Josh Mandel, Ohio will go Republican by like 6, maybe 5 points. So yeah, Ohio is going to be a likely Republican state no matter what. It just depends on the margins. Looking at the state of North Carolina, that's another state I expect to be likely R. If we look at the state, it's a state that the Republicans won in 2016 by more than 5 points. It was also a good year for Republicans nationwide. I think Trump won North Carolina by almost 4 points in 2016. So 2016 was a very good year for the Republican Party in North Carolina. If you look at the Trump-endorsed candidate Ted Budd in North Carolina, he was doing pretty bad in primary pollings for a little bit, but he's making a comeback now, and I see no reason he shouldn't win the primary, and I see no reason he shouldn't go on to win by more than 5 points. North Carolina, as of now, is a Republican-leaning swing state. And in a Republican favorable year with a pretty solid candidate. I honestly like Ted Budd quite a bit. So I do think that North Carolina will be likely R. So that we're gonna fill in we already did the likely states for the Democrats. We're gonna fill in the lean states for the Democrats, and they only have one, which is the state of Colorado. Unless there's a Cory Gardner type of candidate in the state or a Glenn Youngkin type, I do not see Colorado flipping. However, I do see it getting much closer. It's simply because of trends and national environment. If it was a D-wave year, I'd probably put Colorado likely, if not even safe. But yeah, Colorado, I do expect to go Democrat by about 3-4 points, but it's going to be a little closer because of the national environment. So with that, we're going to start filling in the lean R states. They include states of Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. Starting in the state of Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto is not super popular. Her approval rating is pretty low as of now. I believe it's like 35%. Biden's underwater with Hispanics in the state, which is not good at all for the Democrats. And if you look at the state, a lot of the Republican trending areas in Nevada are in the Clark County, Las Vegas area that are mostly Hispanic, white, working class areas. And Catherine Cortez Masto, that is her base. Her base is trending Republican, while on the areas that she didn't do very well in 2016, mostly the Reno and the suburbs around it, a lot of those areas she did very poorly in, and that's really what is going to keep the state competitive. So Catherine Cortez Masto, she's losing support among her base at Clark County, and she's already not super popular with suburbanites in the Reno area. So I think any Republican should have no problem winning Nevada by a lean margin. And plus, her approval ratings in the dirt, Hispanics turning Republican, a red favorable year, very unpopular governor. Yeah, I see no reason that Adam Laxalt should not be able to flip the state of Nevada red. Looking at the state of Arizona, this is a state that I think Blake Masters will go on to win very handily. I think by 3, maybe even 4, maybe even 5 points. In all honesty, him and Kari Lake would be a great dynamic duo in the state. I've actually talked to Blake Masters, and he's said nothing. He has nothing but positivity about his campaign. It's seen a lot of support in the last few months. He's doing much better in the polls. Everyone's kind of seeing Mark Brnovich for the swamp creature that he is. Blake Masters, as you know, he got the shout out by Trump at the rally. That was pretty epic. I don't even think Brnovich was at the Trump rally. Meanwhile, Blake Masters was there. He got called out by Trump. And Blake Masters also, Congressman Paul Gosar did a poll for who his constituents and who his followers supported in Arizona. And Blake Masters got 85% of the vote in that poll. And there were like 10,000 people who voted. So that doesn't tell you something about the energy that's building behind Blake Masters' campaign. I don't know what will. So like I said, I've talked to him. He is very excited for the future of the state. He thinks he's going to win pretty handily, and all the evidence is there. So I think Arizona will be a lean Republican state, and Blake Masters will be the next senator of the great state. State of Georgia, Herschel Walker, I think, will do very well in the state of Georgia. Against Raphael Warnock, two black men will definitely even out the turnout a little bit in Atlanta. Meanwhile, Herschel Walker is very popular with Republicans outside of the Atlanta area, suburbanites, and rural people and ruralites. I don't know what's the proper term for like rural. I keep saying rural areas. It feels like, so I'm trying to say like rural people. But that sounds wrong, and like ruralites doesn't sound right either. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Georgia is just. Herschel Walker is a very popular, he's obviously a former football player. He's very popular across the whole state of Georgia. A lot of the people who watch football are the shad conservatives. I mean, I think there's very liberal people who honestly watch football. It's such a masculine, such a based sport. Obviously, there's the people who play it are not so based, but a lot of the people who watch football are very masculine, very conservative, very, very based. And those people love Herschel Walker in the state of Georgia. So all Herschel Walker is going to do is he's going to lower turnout in Atlanta because he's a black man. And he's also going to do very well across the rest of the state with rural areas and even some suburban areas simply because people like him because he was a good football player. A Republican favorable year. People don't like Biden. He's going to do pretty well. So I see absolutely zero reason that Raphael Warnock should win re-election, honestly. Herschel Walker is a great candidate, and I think he's going to win Georgia by a lean margin. Probably like 4 or 5, probably like 3-4 points. Look at the state of Pennsylvania. That is a state that I think Dr. Oz is going to win by a lean margin. So a little known thing about Dr. Oz that people don't really take into account is how popular his show is in white working class homes. I mean, I can confirm I'm from white working class Ohio. There are a lot of people who watch Dr. Oz, daytime TV. He's very popular with the white working class of the Midwest. I mean, I don't know what about him, just his show, his optics, everything. So him running if he runs a semi-populist campaign, and he also appeals to some suburbanites, which he has done so far. He's actually run a pretty decent campaign. He's already very popular in the white working class areas. So I see zero reason Dr. Oz should not win Pennsylvania by at least a lean margin. He's run a good campaign. He's already popular with the base that the Republican nominee in Pennsylvania needs to appeal to. And he's Dr. Oz. He's based. He's epic. And they're Democrats on the other side. They're all just establishment politicians. They're just not that exciting. People don't really understand how just pure excitement over a candidate can really affect a race. I mean, we had Youngkin. We had Trump in 2016. Good, exciting candidates who can just change a race and change the whole dynamic of an area. People underestimate the effect that has on an election. I mean, Trump in 2016. Trump in 2020 to a certain extent, in terms of him doing much better than anyone suggested. But yeah, Dr. Oz just being that celebrity and spicing up the race a little bit, as well as being very popular with white working class voters already. I see zero reason Dr. Oz should not win Pennsylvania by a lean margin. The state of New Hampshire is an interesting state. I'm putting it in the tilt D column. Yeah, like I said, I just do not see a path for victory for the Republican Party as of now. Yes, Maggie Hassan is very unpopular, and there are a few good Republicans running. But all the Republicans leading in the primary polling, I think it's Don Bolduc is the guy who's leading at this point. I like him a lot. I just don't think he's a good fit for this state. New Hampshire's a pretty suburban state, and while yes, Trump did very well in the state in 2016. In 2020, he did not do very well, and I think that Don Bolduc focusing on the election fraud and stuff, and his view of election fraud at least, 2020 was the most free and fair election of all time. Of course, you too. But seriously, New Hampshire, I just don't see. I don't see it flipping at this time. I think it's going to be very close. New Hampshire is also just such a hard state to predict. I mean, it trends so far left, so far right. It takes massive shifts when no one expects it does. It stays the same when no one expects it to stay the same. It's such a hard state to predict and such a hard state to poll. But as of now, I have to say I would feel much safer putting it a safe D than I would putting it at, I mean, not safe D. I feel much better about putting New Hampshire in the tilt D column than in the tilt R column. I don't know. Someone just says that I think Maggie Hassan is going to very narrowly hang on unless we get a much better Republican. Don Bolduc is not a bad candidate either. I'm just saying that even with all the stuff going on, I just have a hard time seeing that state flip. So with that, we have 53 Republican seats, 47 Democrat seats. I'm very happy with this map. I think the midterms are going to be a lot of fun. The governorship and House races, you saw the governorship video yesterday. I suggest you go and watch that. The House races are going to be very interesting. Redistricting is not looking too well for us, but I think just the pure state of the national environment, we should overcome it. We're not going to get that huge margin in the House like people expected we would at first, but I do expect us to take the House back by a decent margin. So with that, thank you for watching this video. I hope you agree with my predictions, and I'll see you in the next one.